Canon is a new Sony. They keep releasing cameras. Suddenly, they release so many cameras, one after one and after one. Now we have the R8. I read the rumor. I thought that's crazy. R8 and they basically write anything they can think of from R1 to R11. But R8, actually R1 to R50, because we have R50. But anyway, yeah, this is exciting because this is cheap, 1,699.99 pounds, which is around the same for US dollars probably. But this is cheaper. That means this is cheaper than my S5 Mark II. It's cheaper than Z6 Mark II from Nikon when it was new, and definitely cheaper than Sony A7 Mark IV. Before that, we have RP. That was cheap, but then the specs is not as good as a lot of things that's not comparable. But this is basically a baby R6 Mark II because it got the same sensor, same 24.2 megapixel, same electronic shutter, 40 FPS. This is crazy. Electronic first curtain is 6 FPS, a little bit slow, but well. And when I pick it up, it just strikes me that it's really thin. And because it's so thin, the grip doesn't have to be so big. Before the RP, Sony makes the thinnest full-frame cameras. I still have my A7S Mark II. This is before Sony camera getting bigger and heavier. If you own one of these early Sony camera before, or if you handle one, and if you still remember, the R8 actually thinner than those Sony mirrorless cameras. But even though the grip is as small as a Sony mirrorless camera, it managed to give you a much better grip because the body is thinner. You can see it's actually deeper for your fingers to grab on. So you still got a lot of space for your fingers. You don't feel like I hold it like that. And when you compare it to RP, they're actually really similar, kind of almost like the same size, I think. But even the buttons are really similar. It's just they change it. They finally changed this weird on-off button. And then there's a lock button here, which actually quite hilariously, this feels more like an on-off button. Like a few times I pick it up, I want to turn it on from here. So that's what they did. This is actually now the on-off button and the lock. And on this side, something really useful, a button just to switch from still to video. I think all cameras should do this. And actually, this is lighter than the RP. This is amazing. This is quite amazing. They're both full frame. They're both kind of entry-level full frame. This is lighter. The SD card is linked to the battery. Oh wow, entry-level camera. But then this also got headphone jack. Got mic jack, headphone jack, HDMI, use obviously a small one. USB is support UVC, so this is really useful for live streaming or even Zoom. Then you got the best image quality among all your Zoom participants. Everyone use some crappy webcam and suddenly you got like, whoa, good dynamic range and stuff. Annoyingly, you can only use a USB-C charger. If you use a USB-A to USB-C cable, it doesn't work. But then it don't actually make use of USB PD fast charging. This is just Bob's standard 5V 1A slow charging that your iPod used to use. It also got the eye, face, head and toes body detection, not toes detection. Eye, face, head, body detection, cats, dogs, horses, car, bike, train, plane. So it's a really long song name detection. It also got 3 flexible AF zone you can set up. It will be really useful because you can customize the width and the height as well. 3 different square rectangle you can set up. Now video, don't be silly, don't take 6K, but 4K up to 60 FPS, 50 or 60 FPS and no crop. The thing though, both these two cameras, one thing kind of disappointing is that no inverted stabilization. It relies on digital stabilization, which is just crop in and crop in to do stabilization. That's the sensor don't physically shift like other in-body stabilization. So the kit length is 24 to 50 millimeters. 24 millimeters really just wide enough for vlogging. I mean, it's okay, but then the thing is this doesn't have in-body stabilization. Now it's just relying on the lens stabilization. Canon lens IS always pretty good, but then now when every camera got in-body stabilization in comparison, you kind of want in-body stabilization on every camera. This doesn't have it, but you have digital stabilization, but it crop in a little bit, obviously. Yeah, now it's not too bad. From 24 now crop in into something maybe like 26. More stable? It should be. I can't really tell from this small screen. But this is the digital stabilization. If you need it, if you want more, there's enhance. Enhance! This is so... I don't actually put it closer to my face. This is still arm length. I've stretched out my arm and I still got my face feeling the whole screen. This is like, oh, break butter. But this is really stable, I think. Can't really tell from this small screen. But yeah, it's what you get if you enhance it. And moving on to R50, this is so small.
Seriously, this is so small, almost like a compact camera.
Fit in my hand. In this way, it's smaller than my phone. And this is an iPhone 12 mini. But this is lighter than M50 Mark II as well. This is not expected. And pop-up flash, this is not expected. No, actually the R10 got it as well. But then the grip is it's tiny. I mean, you expect it when you're holding, it's like, don't hold it like that. Kind of awkward when Canon insists to make it look like a DSLR grip. I think a lot of other cameras, a lot of other small cameras, with Fujifilm, whatever, they don't bother make it look like DSLR. I mean, of course, you get it for its small size and lighting. It is really nice. The buttons are a little bit, it feels a little bit cheap because there's not much travel when you click into it. It's like click, 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 click. And the shutter button, also the click type, not the squeeze type. Well, it's a cheap entry level. It doesn't have a headphone jack, but if you're shooting by yourself, you don't have chance to use a headphone jack as well. Actually, now when I'm shooting by myself, I don't use headphone. I just hope that. I just found out my wireless Go 2. I forgot to set it to safety channel. So there you go. You got HDMI, small size HDMI. Obviously, it's a small camera. USB. It also supports UVC. Yeah, that's the problem with this coming out on the right side. It's already not a really great grip. And now it's like, you can't even use the grip. You can't even grip it now. You just have to. It's a white one as well. White R50. Yeah, it do looks like M50. Obviously, this is APS-C. It got the same sensor with the R10. There's a lot of R. Actually, it's quite a little bit confusing now, isn't it? R5, 6, full frame, 7, APS-C, 8, full frame, 10, APS-C. We just have to get used to it. It's not M50, R50, APS-C, of course. So it's still also got 24.2 megapixel. I just remember out of my head, not looking at my screen. AF detection, still got eyes, ear, head and toes, whatever, cats and dogs, but no horses, no airplane. 4K 30, not that's low 4K 50, 60.
Also, it only allows full auto or full manual in video shooting. There's no TV or AV mode. There's no log and no flat picture profile either. Something really interesting towards the end we noticed the R8 got this thermometer icon on the screen and a scale. Another day shooting outdoor we noticed this on the R50 as well, so I wonder, do they overheat? So it starts with a normal room temperature around 20 degrees Celsius. And the thermometer icon come back. Will they overheat like the R5 before? At 48 minutes the R8 card full, so I changed the card and continue. The R50 actually overheats at 54 minutes. In room temperature, I think that is acceptable. The next day is sunny, so I think I would test the R50 again. Under 19.5 Celsius, under the sun, it overheats at 34 minutes. Sounds alright for an entry-level camera. But what about people living in hot climates? So I did a last test in my oven around 35 degrees Celsius. Almost comically, the R50 just refused to work at all. Well, it got my sympathy because I had enough with Hong Kong summer as well. So I carry on with the R5 anyway. The only thing I can't simulate is direct sunlight. At 52 minutes, the card full again, so I should have used a bigger card. 9 minutes later, the temperature scale went up to 3 bars and the battery is out. So just over an hour continuously shooting 4K, the R8 never overheats. So to observation, I like that temperature bar thing. It lets you know how hot is the camera, how close it is to overheat, so you can plan your shooting. And the R50 may or may not have an overheat problem, depends on where do you live in the world. So as I say, Canon is the new Sony. They're releasing camera left and right from R5, R6, R6 Mark II, R7, 10, 58. Along with some cheaper lenses as well, especially this new 24 to 50mm. Now Canon back in the game. Panasonic just joined the game with the S5 Mark II. This year is going to be really interesting. Now just your move, Nikon.